everyone. Today we are back with another episode of Youth Talk. And today my guest is Lalitha Ramanathan. She is a finance manager turned author and blogger whose work focuses on parenting humor, children's fiction, and short stories. Her books include the parenting memoir, Parenting Unplugged, and Kanmani and Company, Five Friends and a Cat, and How They Tackle the World. This is the book, yes. And both the books were published in 2025. Today we will be discussing Kanmani and Company because I have read it and I super enjoyed it. It was a wonderful experience for me. And I was transported into Marripuram village. So let us dive in and let us talk to Lalita about what is the book about. So who is Kanmani and what does the village of Maripuram look like?
Firstly, thank you, Devika, for having me on your show. It's a huge honor to talk to you, and I'm so glad you enjoyed the book. Of course, Kanmani Co is a very special book. It's my first children's book. It occupies a really special place in my heart, but I'm just delighted to hear how much you enjoyed the book. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. So, Kanmani is a little girl, 9, 10 years old, and she lives in this imaginary Tamil village called Marripuram. So Maripuram is like any village with green spaces, open spaces, quirky characters. Like everybody, there's a sense of community and a sense of how do I say? Everybody knows everybody, right? They know everything that's happening in their lives. They're very well connected. Their lives revolve around the temple in the village, which is a Mariamman temple. It is called the Maripuram. Maripuram's main temple is the Mariamman temple. There is a school, then there is a pond, there are frogs, there are flowers. So it is a very typical textbook kind of village, green spaces, coconut trees, children running around, playing around, hustle bustle, people gossiping, people helping each other. And every year they have this annual festival of the Mariamman temple, and that's a huge event for them. And they're all gathering together and they are having snacks, they're doing the prayers, they're looking at the skits that are done by the children. So, yeah, just a very happy and happening village.
So many times we say that writers use their personal experiences when they create fictional characters. So while creating the fictional village of Maripuram, how did your own childhood experiences influence the whole
I love this
scenario?
question because you've gotten it spot on. Maripuram, how I developed it. So I grew up in Kerala, but my ancestral temple, my Kuldevi, the Kuladevam temple, was in Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. So when the cousins were young, like we were a big family, cousins were young, the grandparents would, book a car and we'd all, go to Tamil Nadu, from Kerala to Tamil Nadu, we'll drive. And that drive is so memorable. I can still remember it 30 years later, 30, 40 years later. I can still remember the drive, right? Greenery both sides, rice fields and trees and windmills and the wind blowing and us looking out of the window, playing games, stopping at the villages or stopping for snacks, spotting the ponds. And the ponds would be covered with, I think, lotuses or lilies. So then we'd see, and we really didn't have cameras those days to take photos. So it was just, for your eyes only, right? And we used to go there almost every year for a long time when we were young. But then when we got older, we had exams. Then we got college, work, job, everything, and then that kind of cycle got disrupted, right? But then after I got married, again from my husband's side, their temple is also Tirunelveli in a village called Palamade, and we go there on and off. And again, it was reliving the memories. Obviously, the landscape has changed a bit, but that village connect is strong, right? And I'm like, if I'm writing a story and I want it to be contemporary, but I want it to be away from influences like gadgets or the hustle and bustle of the city, then I said I'm going to create a village and I'm going to bring back those memories of those times. So the visit to the temple, because our temple is Goddess Parvati's temple only. So I want to relive that experience of walking through that green open space, meeting, and the villagers there, whenever we went to the temple, they were always so friendly, and we'd share a meal with them. We'd walk around and they would tell us all about what was happening. And in Palamade, for example, we'd see peacocks roaming around. Peacocks roaming around, sometimes a stray monkey. So it was just that perfect harmony with nature, which you would not see. Like for my daughter, it was an entirely new experience, right? And that was the experience I wanted to bring forth in this book from my childhood, distilling those memories, distilling just the power of nature and the immense spirit of human connection. Yeah.
Wow, this is fantastic because I have also stayed in villages when I used to go for vacations and I used to visit my grandparents and relatives. Oh my God, that village scenario, I don't think it can
Yeah.
be erased from your memory. It is a refreshing memory always because of so much of nature. And thank you for creating Maripuram. Yes.
And everything is different, right? The air, the water, even the food. They make all these snacks and they share with you, and you're sitting on the veranda huddled, and they have these
Yes.
fans, and they're talking, and
It's
it's
a different
totally
life.
different.
It's a
Yeah.
different kind of life, yes. So the residents, like you said, the residents of or inhabitants of Maripuram, they lead a simple life free from gadgets. Now, from your today's life, present life today, what are some of the experiences which are contrasting with this?
Oh God, I cannot believe that we can survive without gadgets, right? We're so spoiled. We're so used to technology everywhere. Everything is automated. I have to look at my phone at least 100 times a day. There's so much of information readily available. So I think, and it's not that the residents of Maripuram do not have gadgets. They do have some digital phone. They have some amount of digital, but not as penetrated as like a city, right? Um, it's just like I think times were much more simpler when we didn't have access to abundant information. Um, and as you can see, information also has the power to create a bit of fear. Misinformation spreads quickly. Whereas in Maripuram, you only have Muttumami who gossips. No one else. So I just think that with gadgets, while we have become more connected, we have also become less connected because we're more connected in terms of you can call anyone, but do we make that call? Do we really are we really present? Right. And I think it's that mindfulness that we are lacking, and it's something that even I'm working on because I get distracted. I'll be like mindlessly scrolling through reels for hours when I could be doing something else. And that connect with nature, like how many, like I can't remember the last time I went for a walk in a like a grassy place or just stopped to look at something without taking a picture and posting a reel, right? So I think it's a whole change in the life, and you can't say that technology is at fault. It's obviously made our life much more easier, and it's just about the control and the mindfulness that you want to exercise. Like you need to make a conscious effort. You have all the facilities. Like if you want to connect with someone, pick up the phone, talk to them. Don't just send a message. Talk to them, reach out to them. In this village, you can just go to the wall and yell their name, and the person will come out. They're probably already eavesdropping, and they'll come and talk to you. But here, in a present day situation, you have to make that effort to be present and to make the best use of the technology and solutions you've been given. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about how we use technology. Technology, I believe, is an enabler if humans use it in the right way.
Absolutely,
It can make
absolutely.
life simple, but you should know how much to use. So coming to children now, since you have written about children and you have to understand children, so children are exposed to digital devices at home, at school, in the neighborhood. How does it impact? Obviously, I'm not making a comparison between Maripuram and today's scenario, but how does it impact the lifestyle of a child? How does a child grow up?
It's immense pressure. So I'm not a child psychologist. I'm just a mom who observes my child and her friends. I just feel that children are under immense pressure. They're always comparing themselves. On social media, they're updating their statuses. There is this, how do I say, this compulsion to show off to the world. Okay, things are okay, or I've done something, to show off photos, to apply filters, to show a version of themselves that does not always exist. Right? There's this pressure to be perfect, and it induces a lot of anxiety. It induces a lot of, how do I say, am I good enough, self-esteem issues, right? So which is why I'm like, you cannot look, I'm not in favor of a blanket ban on technology, because there's also so many good things you can do. There's so many education resources, so many classes. Online is a huge tool, right, for educating children, whether it's in schools or in assignments or online classes. It's how you use it and how judicious you are. you can, and as parents, we can re-emphasize the fact that you should be careful. There are bullies out there are unwanted sites out there. You need to be mindful, because time will just pass by and you would have just, you could have used that time to do something else. And also, you shouldn't become a couch potato. You shouldn't be confined to home and always browsing, right? Because you also need physical exercise to be healthy. Healthy body, healthy mind. As parents, we can do this much. At the end of the day, the child also has to understand how important it is not to get addicted to technology. um, it is a balance. It's not easy. I'm still searching for solutions, but I did read an article a few days ago about how this generation is an anxious generation, right? They're always looking for the next thing, the next trend. Oh, we have to be seen as cool, we have to be seen as perfect, we have to put up that perfect status, the perfect filter. They're obsessed with perfection. Whereas in our generation, it was okay to fail. Yeah, you fail, no big deal, let's do it again. Big deal. Yeah, right? We were much more resilient. And I see a loss of resilience, and that's what worries me. Like, people should know, or children should know, that there is a whole world of opportunities out there. So, what if something doesn't work out? Go to the next solution, next one, next one, next one. There's always something waiting for you that is much bigger and better, because there is a plan for you, and you just have to never give up and persevere and get out of your reels and statuses and look out. That's it.
Yeah, we have seen family structures evolve, parenting evolve. So, how do you think your parenting style has evolved? And what is your parenting style in the current generation?
As I said, I was just telling my mother that she had it easy in her time. I was a very well behaved child. But also, we did not have those many digital influences back then. We weren't constantly comparing ourselves. I think it's important to have conversations to make sure we know what's going on, because, there's a digital evil lurking around, and there's so much of pressure, there's so much of competition. And also, there's a change in the community structure, right? Like, my grandmother had 6 children, they all grew up together. There's hardly any space to conceal anything. Like, with great power comes great responsibility. Similarly, with great space comes great responsibility. So everything was out in the open. Right now, I mean, obviously, the family units have become smaller, and there are pros and cons, obviously. But that spirit of community, that sharing model, that has kind of changed, and that's where parents need to keep an eye and step up. And it's not easy. We have our own pressures, we have our own work. Both parents are working, and you just assume that things are running okay. But it's important, like, as a family, to do regular check-ins, um, and just talk to children about anything. Let them see you as as their friends, right? Have these open conversations and tell them, what you think, and ask them to think for themselves, because the biggest thing that we can do is inculcate values and an ability in them to think for themselves. Let them make their decisions, and let them make the right decisions, and we can only hope that that will take them ahead. Yeah.
Wow, yes, this is very insightful and coming from a parent itself. I think other parents listening to this podcast will be inspired. Yes. So, coming to writing fiction, I would like to ask you that when you were writing Kanmani, what were the two or three aspects that you focused on?
So when I was writing Kanmani, a lot, and this, I'm not sure if I've shared this with anyone. A lot of these stories are actually stories which are rehashed from my childhood. Like, if you take the first story, Stamp of Approval, I taught my grandmother a few letters on how to write, and that's the inspiration for Kalmani. And like, my grandmother's name is Sita Lakshmi, so one of the characters is named Sita in her honor. Um, so the first story is pretty much a tribute to my grandmother and the relationship that I shared with my grandparents. Um, many of the stories in this book link back to my childhood experiences, of the childhood fun that I had. Um, and I never knew I could write for children. Okay, I used to blog a lot. So when I worked in corporate, then I took a break. I started blogging. Incidentally, I wrote one children's story that I posted on Facebook that got shared and caught the attention of an editor in Dimdima magazine, and she reached out to me. That's how the journey started. And then I realized, once I started writing for children, I just realized I love writing for children, because there's a certain innocence, a certain magic, a certain message that you can package, and you feel that, okay, if a young reader reads this, it is going to make a difference to them, right? So that really inspired me to write on and on and on. And then I said, okay, fine, let me write a couple of short stories which are like, how do I say, has have some pleasant memories from my childhood, written in an adventure format, and I add some more details to it. And that's how the whole concept of Maripuram came into being. And that's how each story, like one of my cousins used to love eating sweets. And then we used to like my aunt used to keep the sweets on a higher shelf, and he'll take a stick and push it down and it would break. So all this has happened, and that's how the character Subru was born, right? A child who loves to eat sweets and who'll go ahead to any limit, who'll go to steal the sweets and all that. So a lot of this is the pleasant memories of childhood, and you add a bit of imagination, and then you give it a structure, and then you package it to create a certain a magical world, a new world. Yeah, a new world where each character has a particular quirk. Because I can identify a Muttu from my childhood. I can identify a coconut climber who was belligerent from my childhood. Um, so all these characters are pretty much lived in experiences, and I've just brought them alive in my story and given them roles. Yeah.
Every generation has their unique questions and experiences. What kind of questions do children ask today? Your daughter, what does she ask today? And how is it different from what you asked your mother?
Oh dear. That is a difficult question to answer because at each age, right, they have different questions. Initially, it can be questions that stump you, saying that, when they're very young and they don't have access to information, then they ask you all kinds of questions like, why is this like this? Why is the sky blue? Where do fish sleep? Where do fish go to in the ocean? So they ask you all kinds of questions, and you have to end up Googling or reading up. The problem is that tendency to ask questions decreases over age. Then they're like, oh, why should I ask? I can just Google and get the answer right. And that is where the problem comes in, because that spirit of inquisitiveness kind of diminishes because everything is ready made, right? So I was a part of the scholastic author program where I went to schools and we were having discussions around Kanmani. And then some of the questions so I was just asking them, can you come up with solutions? Can you ask questions? And they gave me a lot of funny questions like, okay, why didn't Kanmani do this? So when there is one chapter where Varam fell into the well, right? Varam the cat, I have him here too. He falls into the well. Then I was telling how Kanmani rescued Varam, and somebody said, why didn't she call pet services? And like, Maripuram does not have pet services, so they don't have a van to come in. Or they should have just called the fire brigade. I'm like, no, sorry, Maripuram does not have access. It's very cute, and but they were asking questions, and that was what really made me very happy. Ask questions, don't accept any information that is readily given, right? Ask, if you're meeting an author, ask them, okay, what was the inspiration, how did you write, or tell me more about your character, or could this character have done something different, right? So the younger children still ask questions. They ask why. And as parents, my request to parents is, if they're asking why, encourage them. Let them ask as many whys as they can. That's how they learn. That's how you learn. That's how you bond. When they get older, they probably won't. But that spirit of inquisitiveness, the seeds, if you plant it early enough, it will really help them in the future. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I also see the curiosity for learning diminishes as you grow older because you are so occupied with other things in life
And
that
you
you
just accept stuff, right? You just have a very narrow view of the world and you just
it's a
accept stuff
horse.
because you have other things to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like having blinders on your eye.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you don't see that broad-mindedness somewhere disappears. So
Absolutely.
I have read a lot of children's short stories, and I have seen the central character, even like here, Kanmani has a group of friends, a short a cohort of friends. Or what are your thoughts on childhood friendships?
Oh, they're beautiful. They are your anchor. And if you have a group that stays in touch, wonderful. So I had a group of friends, mainly school friends. Like I did have some neighborhood friends with whom I played, but I think as you grow older, you spend more time at school, and therefore your school friendships are the strongest. And I can tell you that I'm here today because of my friends. Because when I was 13, I lost my father. It was to cancer, and it was a long battle. And it was my friends who really were there for me. Like there were days when I couldn't come and you were sick. They would use carbon paper and take notes for me. Carbon paper, you insert it and then you have a copy of the notes. So they'd write notes for me. They'd help me with my studies. They'd hold my hand when I cried. And I mean, that was so beautiful, right? Some a third party not part of my family holding my hand and bringing me through this difficult time. So I owe a lot to them. Obviously, I had a bigger group when I was younger, and we've now all embarked on different paths, and we're not as much as in touch as I would like to be. But friendships are just so beautiful because they are that family that you find. Like you're born with a certain family who is your big support, but you also find a family that can forge a bond with them, and that really helps you become the person you're meant to be.
Oh, lovely. Yes. So definitely you spoke about school friends. Are you still in touch with them? How has the relationship evolved over time?
So we are pretty much in touch on WhatsApp groups. So we have WhatsApp groups where we're like forwarding stuff, reels, good morning messages, talking about gossip and all that. And of course, I have my best friends. So when I went to Trivandrum, I met with one of them, and another best friend came to visit me here in Singapore when she was on holiday with the family. So we have these reunions, which are probably once in 10 years, not often enough. And sometimes I pick up the phone and talk to them, or we do a call over WhatsApp or a video call. But ideally, I would have liked to talk to them much more, but it's just that we're busy with our jobs, with our children, with our family stuff. So of course, priorities shift a bit. But I think the important thing is to stay in touch, even if it is just a message. Just stay in touch and make sure that you let the person know I'm a call away if there's anything you can talk to me, and vice versa, right? So it's always good to know that you have good people on your side.
Yeah, lovely. It's been a lovely conversation with you, Lalita, and knowing about Kanmani. I would like to end this discussion. What is your message to the readers of Kanmani?
My message obviously is that I hope you love reading Kanmani. Varam says, please leave a review for me on Amazon. No, but jokes apart, I really hope that the younger readers can connect with Kanmani, because it's not something that, uh, uh, I mean, it's not your day-to-day kind of digital, or it's not something that they used to, right? It's a different world, and I do hope that they shower their love on Kanmani. I've had some good feedback from young readers, and I hope more of them can read and enjoy and tell me what they liked or what they would like to see differently in this book. Yeah. I'd love their feedback. And yeah, I hope that they have a few good messages to take back from the book. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being my guest. It was lovely to host you and talk to you about Kanmani.
Thank
Great.
you very much. Thank you so much. Bye bye.